Hey, good morning, Twitch. How's everybody doing today? I'm back again with another live stream. This is episode number 69, and today I'm going to do some of my, normal day-to-day type of content creation stuff here on the stream. We've got a new effort from Couchbase with the Docs team. I'm not on the Docs team, but we're working with the Docs team to create some quick start tutorials. We've identified that as an area where we need some improvement. So we're going to work on a number of quick start tutorials and kind of taking a little different approach to it this time around. And I'm going to work on that today. I want to get some of that content out as soon as possible so we can iterate on it and start expanding on it, adding a little bit more in-depth tutorials. So that's what we're going to work on today. It'll be, my area is .NET, typically C#. So we're going to work on Asp Net Core tutorial first, and then the next time it will be a .NET Core console application using some link. So that's what we're going to work on today. Thank you for joining me. The bot should be working. Let me just double check here. You can always hit the bang help up there. Yep, it's working. That's not the correct project, but bot's working, so you can go ahead and use that. Added some new features to it. I haven't deployed them yet, but I've added some new features to kind of promote social media and things like that, so that should be fun coming down the road. I got some more ideas for the bot as well. So when I get some time, we'll work on those again, but for now, this takes priority, writing some content to help developers. All right, and if you're here hanging out, ask questions. This is a stream, a channel where questions are welcome, questions of all kinds. There are no such thing as stupid questions here, so ask away. All right, and I am a member of Team Live Coders, and I will just bring that up here on the screen. I'm going to open up incognito this time. There we go. So we're a team of live coders, and Hey, Full Stack Live, what's going on? Live Codes represent. I'm doing great. Full Stack Live, how are you? Are you also a member of the team? If so, I will give you a little shout out here. If not, I'll give you a shout out anyway. Why not? Shout out Full Stack Live. You can check out Full Stack Live channel there. But you can see this is a busy time for us right now. Tuesday at 10 a.m. Usually is a lot of people streaming on the team here. I think C Sharp Fritz just started, so we should see him shoot up towards the top here. But Pixelogic Dev, who rated us last week, that was terrific. Thank you for that, Pixelogic Dev. Also, some follows. I wasn't able to. I didn't stream on Thursday. I totally forgot about the Live Coders conference when I mentioned it on Tuesday. That I was not going to stream on Thursday, but I've got some followers since then, so I want to give them a shout out. Jero, Jerome Van Wysen, thank you. Mr. Demon Wolf, thank you for the follow. Dota 2 Attitude, thank you. Manning Publications, so we've got some stuff I'm working on with Manning here with they've got a Twitch presence going, so I want to shout them out as well. They're not on the Team Live Coder stream. They can't be, but I suspect many live coders will be on their stream. So definitely want to check out Manning Publications. I'm an author of theirs from way, way back. But I'm doing some stuff with them here soon, I think. And GDS8, 3 days ago. Thank you for the follow. So you don't always get the fanfare when you follow when I'm not live, but I appreciate it anyway. So we'll come back to the Team Live Coders page here towards the end of the stream, which will be probably a couple hours, depending on how this tutorial goes. Maybe it'll be done real fast. We'll see. But we'll come back here and we'll do a raid. So we'll keep it going and find someone who's still streaming and get a raid going. Speaking of which, that reminds me. Another idea was a defend command for the next time we're raided to have just say defend messages automatically. That's always fun to do. Okay, so you use the channel emoji, things like that. All right, where were we? Okay, another place I like to promote, because I'm also on this list, but there's lots of great people on this list, is the Awesome Developers Streaming list on GitHub. It's just a big text file, big markdown file, github/bnb/awesome developer streams. This is a list of people who are live coding. Not just a live coders team. I'm sure a lot of them are on here, but anyone who's doing any live coding on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or wherever, they can submit and get themselves listed here. Doing some Coke Zero this morning. I've kind of, I don't know, last few weeks I've been kind of off the coffee kick. I'll still have a cup of coffee every once in a while, but been more on soda again for whatever reason. Anyway, I like to check this if it's been updated recently to see if anyone else is streaming about something that's dear to me, which is data and databases. So go through here and find the usual suspects. This is something else you can do on your own. Just do a Control F for whatever topic you're interested in, whether programming language or framework or a tool, and you can just do a search for that. So there's Liz, there's myself. A lot of databases, Couchbase, SQL, NoSQL, SQL++, .NET. You're going to see all of that today, Asp Net. And then some of this other stuff. I haven't done podcasting in a while. I haven't done any VR, I don't think, in a long time. Actually, my Vive, one of my receivers, is broken right now. So I'm trying to build up the strength to purchase another one of those base stations because they're so expensive. But I can't really play without it, so I need to get one of those. I haven't done a soldering kit in a while, but those are stuff I've done in the past, and occasionally I'll do gaming streams, things like that. Rachel Tatman, yep. Shirley Wu, these are the normal suspects here. Ted Young, Go Maestro Go, Jack Mott. Yep, so no one else has added data. It's really surprising that no one's really mentioning data and databases too much in their list here. I'm sure most of these people in this list deal with data and databases in some sense, but it's one of the things I like to focus on. Not least of which because I work for a database company, Couchbase. And if you want to learn more, if you want to see my back catalog of live streams and highlight clips, you can go to bit.ly/GrovesTube. You can see all that stuff there. All the videos from here end up on YouTube eventually. So you can go check out the back catalog. And if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube now, if you can't watch the stream live or you don't want to, you just want to zip through it and skim through it, totally fine. It's totally a way to go about this. Not everyone wants to hang out and watch a live stream as it happens, interact with it. They just want to zip through and get to, and skim through and get, try to find all the good parts. That's totally fine. But if you have questions or comments, leave them there on YouTube, and I'll be happy to read them, answer them in a future episode. Okay, and upcoming events. So tonight, I've got a user group. I will be presenting to the Hampton Roads .NET user group. This is a user group I've known about for a long time. It's either run or has been run by one of my MVP pals, Kevin Griffin, and so I will be presenting at that group. I've never been to this group because it's in it's in Virginia. It's a bit of a drive for me, a bit of a travel for just a user group, but I've always wanted to go and check it out. I've never just really had a chance to, but I will finally get to because now it's virtual. Everything's virtual now, so I will be presenting at that group tonight. It will be on microservices, specifically making your microservices autonomous. How do you build a microservice architecture that isn't just a spread out, buggy version of a monolith, all right? So lots of things to talk about there, and maybe even a little bit of discussion about why do I even need microservices in the first place. So we'll definitely discuss that. This is a fun session. There will be some Kubernetes stuff going on. You don't have to know Kubernetes, but if you want to learn about microservices, you want to see what the fuss is about, if you don't even know what they are, show up tonight, Hampton Roads, .NET User Group. There's the URL right there in the chat. Should be fun time. Next, some more events. So I'm trying to organize something with Andrabis. Actually, I haven't asked him how to pronounce it yet. But I may be on his channel next week. Not sure exactly how this is going to work, but keep an eye out for that. And just, I'm still working on some stuff with a PHP Tech conference. Maybe give him some virtual presentations here on Twitch or elsewhere. So keep an eye out for that. You can follow on Twitter. I will be announcing this kind of stuff on Twitter. There's my Twitter address. And still coming up is the GDG Cloud in Oslo, Norway. I should get a date for this. Figure out when the date is. Put this on my text file here. This will be May 5th, 2020. It's probably on my calendar, but I want to put it here in the list. So I will be presenting JSON data modeling to that group in Norway. And NDC Oslo is going to be a virtual event as far as I can tell. And that's coming up in June 8 to 12. So look for more information on that. Okay, today, quick start docs. So I'm going to set the current project to this. So this link will actually take you, set current project is what I got to do. Set current project to that URL. This link will actually take you to a Jira page, which this one, not everything in Couchbase's issue system is public, but this one is. Our docs team is very open source oriented. It's all the docs are on GitHub publicly, and I'd say most, if not all, of the docs Jira tickets are out here public. Now, not everything, you can't see all the details, right? There's some discussion and some other metadata and things that are not public. I'm showing you this in incognito. This is what you will see if you go to this link right now, unless you have a Couchbase account issues, which you can get, by the way. You can log in, create your own issues, collaborate on them, that sort of thing. But this is the ticket I'll be working on today. This is a first query quick start, and I will be basically taking the reader through their very first interaction with Couchbase. They'll put some data in, and they'll query it back out. And I'm going to be doing that with Asp Net Core. And I'm doing it with Asp Net because there's already a tutorial being written for just .NET Core console app first query. So I'm working on the Asp Net Core version of that. I'll be using the Couchbase.NET SDK 2.7. The current latest version is 3.0, but right now we're going to stick with 2.7 because there may be some integrations I'm going to be using that have not been updated to .NET SDK 3 just yet because it basically just came out. So some of those integrations are not available. And when I say .NET SDK 2.7, I mean the Couchbase.NET SDK 2.7. I will be using the community edition of Couchbase, so the totally free version of Couchbase that you can download and use anywhere you want to. And that's what I'm doing. So this is, you can see right here, It's assigned to me. I also created this one. It's part of this larger, what's called an epic, which is depending on who you ask, a collection of sort of subtasks or collection of tasks that all go into one sort of combined effort. And this is something you can't see if you're not logged in, but there would be a list here of other tickets that make up this epic. So I have at least one more that involves Link, but some of my teammates have some epics in here as well because they'll be working on stuff with Node, Ottoman, just plain old SQL, for instance. So I'll shout out to HTTP Junkie, who is not on the live coders team, at least not yet, but he will be doing he's starting to get his live coding streaming setup going. I don't know if he's going to do any of this on his stream or not, but definitely you should check out HTTP Junkie, give him a follow. He's been on this stream as a guest a week or so ago. We actually went through some GraphQL and some Node and some cool stuff like that. And that inspired me to try to do some GraphQL with .NET, which still haven't quite nailed down yet, but may revisit that at some point. All right, so enough stalling. Time to get to work. Let's move this stuff out here. Yes, Pluralsight. All right, it's officially lunch. Not that much in a coding mood. Ah, Dota 2. Hey, I said thanks for the follow earlier. Glad you're here. Sorry you're not into coding right now. That's totally fine. What's for lunch today? Anything good? You might have overcoded yesterday. A sandwich, huh? Do we have this discussion already? Ham sandwich? Was it you that had the ham sandwich? That it was a disappointing sandwich? Oh, boy. Hey, Gamlor. Hello. What's going on? Oh, you're the ham sandwich guy. Yes. Hashtag ham sandwich guy. That's me. You got to take stream notes so you know that I'm the ham sandwich guy. Stream notes is something that I've got as a possible thing to add in the future to sort of crowdsource those stream notes. Maybe build that into the bot or something, but yeah. Okay. All right. So what I want to look at here is actually my boss created the first of these tutorials. It's still a pull request right now, but I want to sort of take a look at. I'm doing this off the screen right now, but I'm going to bring it up here in a second. His pull request, because I want to just take a look at the structure. So I'll bring this up here on my incognito just to make sure nothing sensitive being shown. So this is his pull request for this is a quick start just using the Couchbase's built-in UI. It's not using anything else. Bang Couchbase. So what would you expect to happen with the bang Couchbase as a bot command? Because I would like to add that. Tells me what Couchbase is. Tells me what Couchbase is. Couchbase is a database. It's a NoSQL database. Couchbase actually sponsored the Live Coders Conference on Thursday. So if you're hanging out there, you got to see the Couchbase message multiple times. But yeah, I could put a bang Couchbase in there. Just you know what? Looks like I already had it. And what is Couchbase? So this is something that's already on my backlog. So I'll add that there. Good idea. But yeah, I can be the bot today. There's no stupid questions here. Questions are welcome. So what is, remove that. You're saying remove the what is? Well, I would have both. I could have them both be aliases. Right? So I could have them both do the same thing. That'd be fine. Okay, cool. Good suggestions. All right, so I want to take a look at this. No, that's fine. Totally fine. The kind of the trouble with this one is that he's split up into a lot of different commits. So it's kind of hard to see a complete view of that. But let's see if I can just go here and maybe look at the whole thing. Is there a full view? A view file. Here we go. This is what I want, I think. Yeah, and I think this gives me the latest view of the whole tutorial. See, in files changed, it shows everything. Is that not what I did? Files changed? Let me just go back here. Files changed. Oh, right here. I see what you're saying. Yes, right. So there are a lot of things that he put in here. Some of these I'll be reusing. The diffs. Yeah, these are the diffs. Right. But what I want to look at is just sort of the main file, which is this one. The Quick Start Web UI Upsert and SL. So SL stands for secondary lookup. But I want to sort of follow the same kind of structure that he laid out here. So the prerequisite, I probably want to copy this pretty much as is and link to this, which it's not been merged yet, but it will be. So I'll just put a link to that. This is like a little summary. It's a title. So step one is, okay, open the workbench. So this will probably be saying open Visual Studio. I probably also want to list the versions of stuff I'm going to use here. Step two, build and upsert a new JSON document using query. Okay, so in my case, I'd probably say build a C# class, and maybe, or, so there's two different things I could do here with the upsert. And one of the things that we haven't really done in the past is we haven't really focused on the way to do it with SQL in Couchbase. Typically, using the key value API is faster and recommended, but if you're coming from a relational background, which is kind of what most people are, it's a little bit more comforting to see, oh, it's an insert statement. I'll just do an insert statement. So we'll see. Couchbase builds the Kubernetes for you. No, not exactly. So you can run Couchbase on Kubernetes, and there is something called an autonomous operator for Couchbase, which will build out will deploy and manage your Couchbase cluster in Kubernetes. But no, Couchbase is not a orchestration tool. It's not going to build the Kubernetes for you. You can run Couchbase in Kubernetes, though. Upsert some more data and find a record. So why we're upserting and then upserting some more. Okay, I don't know about that. And the exercise complete. And then all these links here, because he's using Asciidoc, you can't really see them on GitHub. But he's put all those in separate files. So I may want to reuse those. I'm not exactly sure yet. But I think that's basically what I want to do. So let's just look at the raw version of this. This is Asciidoc, by the way. It kind of looks like Markdown, if you're familiar with Markdown, but it's, in my opinion, a much richer, full-featured version of Markdown. I think you might even refer to it as a superset, possibly. But Asciidoc was kind of built for writing documentation, for writing books even. Those SQL statements are a little confusing. Which SQL statements are you referring to? Like these right here? Because this is actually, it's supposed to link to another file. So this is not what will actually appear in the documentation. This will be substituted. This is one of the Asciidoc's things, is this will be substituted with the contents of this file, which unfortunately you can't see on GitHub. But you will be able to see that here once I get going, if I want to do the same thing and include files. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Asciidoc is I can just do include, like you're seeing here. This is the raw version, and say include this and give it JSON highlights. I don't know if JSON document is really the right word there, but yeah. So like SQL. So import this file and highlight it like SQL. GitHub has a wiki, I believe, FYI. Yeah, that's true, it does. But what we're doing here is I'm actually building files that are going to show up on docs.couchbase.com, right? This is the Couchbase doc site. So Couchbase doesn't use wiki for documentation. It uses docs.couchbase.com, which is built using Antora, Asciidoc, a whole tool chain for that. The docs themselves are on GitHub for sure. So they are open source. Anyone can contribute to them. Anyone can see the raw source code like I'm doing right now. But they all get built and deployed to docs.couchbase.com. All right. So I'm just going to start by, I'm going to start by creating a new file here. So in Pages, I've got the docs.server. I've got it cloned locally. There's a modules folder in there. In modules, there's a getting started folder, which is where I'm going to put stuff inside Pages. I could put examples and pictures into assets and examples, which I may do. Pages is going to be where I'm going to put a file. I know this might be a little hard to read, but just bear with me on that. Okay, so where is my, because I had the, you know what, it's in my current project. I already closed it out. Current project, this right here is what I want to bring up, because I made some notes for myself in here about the naming scheme of the file. And actually, I think it may be in a comment. Let me see. Yeah, right here. This is kind of the naming scheme we agreed upon for the file name. So I'm going to create a new file. Maybe. Create a new file. Okay, and I'm going to call it, you really can't see that. Okay, so this is kind of the naming scheme. So quick start. SDK name is .NET. The version is 2.7. I think that's right. Let me just double check that. Docs.couchbase.com. I mean, it's 2.7 something, but 2.7 will be fine. So yeah, 2.7. We're not going to use 3.0. We're going to use 2.7. Command plus. Yeah, I'm on Windows. What's Command plus? Just to reopen a window. Yeah, it's Control Shift T on Chrome to do it. Okay, SDK version. This probably should be a dash here. I think is what's meant to go there. It zooms your VS Code. Oh, right, it does, but it doesn't zoom this navigation over here on this side. For that, I could use Zoom It. Right, and I could just zoom in over here and do that. Right, but I can't do a. Once I open the code, I can do that, but I can't do it here on the. As far as I know, yeah. So I can. Well, I thought it was scroll wheel. Let's see, appearance. Zoom in, control equals or control minus, right? So I can just do the. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. Look at that. I can do it. So I'm just so used to Visual Studio, I guess, where it's just control scroll wheel to do the zoom in and out. Anyway, so this is the file name I want to start with. So .NET SDK, Asp Net Core, and we'll say 3.1. Editor is Visual Studio, and the goal is first query, and we're going to CB65. So that's the name of the file. Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, you are. Okay, create a new file, and I'm going to name it that .adoc. So there we go. So there is the doc. Okay, and over here, so this is, okay, so I'm going to want this stuff right here. I'm going to start with this. So this is the top level header, Couchbase Server Quick Start. And I'm going to call it ASP.NET Core, right? ASP.NET Core. It's going to be a first query. Okay, image dir, those are fine. So it's just assets, images, and then examples. Totally fine. Abstract. So we're going to use. So mine's going to say using ASP.NET Core using the Couchbase.NET SDK in an ASP.NET Core application to create new I'll just copy this, create new database records in Couchbase and look them up. So one thing I've got here in Visual Studio Code is I've got an Asciidoc preview plugin extension. So I can do this, and you can see this is what vaguely it's going to look like when it's on the docs .couchbase.com site. It's going to look like this, roughly. Of course, we have our own custom styles and colors and things like that, but this is, it's just a way for me to see visually, is it looking how I expect it to look? Are the right headers in place? Things like that. So the extension I'm using for that is actually called Asciidoc. I don't know how you say the guy's name, but I've used this extension for a long time. I'm actually a tiny little minor contributor to it, but I'm going to say totally messed it up. I think it's Portuguese, but I'm not sure. Pinto. J Pinto. And this is a tool that gives you previews of the documentation that you're writing in Asciidoc. An extension that helps me write docs, which I hate doing. Unlikely I use that. Well, you're lucky your code is so well written that it's self-documenting. Well, so, okay. I'm hoping that's sarcastic. But docs for us is a very important thing because we're writing software that others are going to use. And it's not, I mean, hopefully our our code is written in a way that it's easy to read as well. But the way most people are interacting with Couchbase is they're going to download, install it, and run it. They're not going to look at the Couchbase code. Some people will, but most people will not. So documentation is there to help them get through and use Couchbase Server. Yes, so and something that we keep hearing, we just did a recent survey to Couchbase users about documentation, and lots of opinions on documentation, lots and lots. But one thing we definitely recognized was we kind of pretended to be a new developer, and someone who's new to Couchbase, and someone coming in from Google, and we went through the whole process, and we found that it was just too long of a process, and some things didn't quite work right, and it was a little too complicated, superfluous stuff in that experience. So working on these quick starts to be a lot more minimal, to be truly quick ways to get up and running with Couchbase. They're not going to include every little detail, every little side note, every important, everything you need to know to use Couchbase in production, but it's enough to get started. A focus group with fourth-year CS students would be interesting. Get them reading your docs or something. I agree. I would, we pretended kind of to be brand new developers, which it's tough for us because we've been using Couchbase for a long time. But something we are trying to do with that survey, and I promoted this on the channel here a few weeks back, is people who take that survey, they may be fourth-year CS students, they may be 10 years experience as a developer. We're going to get them to, some of them have volunteered. By volunteer, I mean we're going to pay them for doing this if they want to do it. But go through a live session with them, give them a task to do, and see how they navigate the docs. And it's kind of a form of user testing that will give us some information about what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, what's confusing, what can we do better, things like that. So we're kind of doing that sort of thing, Dota, but it's not just fourth-year CS students. It could be, but it might not be. I don't know .NET really, otherwise I'd try it. Right, so we're getting a good cross-section, and the survey is closed right now, Dota, so sorry about that. And it's really geared towards people who kind of already have used Couchbase in the past, because we're looking specifically about the 3.0 SDK. But we're not just .NET, right? So Couchbase is a database, right? So it supports all kinds of languages: Java, .NET, Python, Node, which is JavaScript, and PHP, Scala, lots of other stuff. But I happen to be the .NET guy around here. So Ruby, there are Ruby SDKs. Ruby's not officially supported, at least not anymore. It may be again. PHP is officially supported. We do have PHP SDKs, yes. I'm just kind of the .NET guy, so that's why I'm working on the .NET content. We've got others who are working on the JavaScript content, Python content, Scala, and so on. And actually, you can see some of that quick start content in here: Java, Node, Scala, Python, etc. C, C++, if you're using that, we have those too. And there's a lot of other languages that are not officially supported, like you couldn't buy support for them, but there are community SDKs out there for Ruby and things like that. Keep me away from C. I would agree with that, but you know, C has a very important place still. So a lot of people are still using it. All right. So these are their prerequisites that he put in there. So Couchbase Server 6.5 is already running. Oops, got some. Hang on, let me get rid of this. Got some stuff going on. Okay. So we're kind of assuming that Couchbase Server is already running. Empty bucket named default has been created. I hate using default, but we'll go ahead and do that. Both a primary index and an adaptive index have been created and built on their default bucket. Fine. If you need to perform these tasks, please use the following. So here is where I'm linking off to another file. And this is just like a commented out thing. Or run the following commands. Okay, which we don't have that yet, so that's why it's commented out. But to make those prerequisites happen, you got to go here. If you don't know how to do that. So we're not going to go through those steps every single tutorial. So those are good. Let me just see how that looks over here. Okay. So do you guys have pre-built Docker files? We are on Couchbase is on Docker Hub, if that's what you're asking, and that's actually what this tutorial goes through, is how to install and configure, which is, it's not terribly difficult, but how to do that with Couchbase on the community edition of Couchbase, which is the free version. So I could just go over to Docker Hub Couchbase. So you don't need a Docker file per se. I mean, you certainly can create one and use one of our official images as the base. But yeah, the ports, volume. If you want to use volumes, that's something you can do as well. But this is kind of the basics here. Here's how you run Docker container. And these port numbers aren't exactly correct, but for community, that's totally fine. And that's really the only Docker command you need right there. And then the rest of the stuff you can do manually. But what we want to do is create an image that even skips this kind of manual stuff, right? It'll create the index automatically, create the bucket, things like that, which we can do, just a little bit more work to do. So we're not there yet. So we're just going to go with this real basic setup right now. Okay. And volumes, I mean, that's, if you want to use volumes for like, and I use volumes I did a Asp Net Core microservice blog post where volumes could be helpful because you're going to use Docker Compose in that case. But you don't have to use Docker Compose to go through this tutorial. Settings also can really speed things up. What can really speed things up? Just having all that stuff built in. Because that's kind of the idea here, is you basically just run one command. Like a node server where your node module... Oh, well, okay, yeah, possibly. But I mean, that maybe for production, if you're using Docker in production, that might be important. But for us here, this is all about learning the first time and getting your feet wet, if you will. And so we're not super concerned with Docker performance and things like that, right? So yeah, we're not going to go into that. Now we are concerned about query speed, and that's one of the things with this indexing, primary index and adaptive index. So that's something we want to build into the Couchbase image. But if you want to use volumes, right, you can do that on your own. That's not really a Couchbase specific thing. Okay. Less time compiling and more time coding. I mean, maybe. It's possible. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next thing is Visual Studio is installed. Now I am using... So this is not going to use Visual Studio Code. This is going to use Visual Studio. let's see, you guys did the SQL performance optimizing. Cool. Well, kind of, right? So these indexes will make the queries, well, adaptive index will make the queries a little bit, will make them more performant. This isn't to say this is the end, right? There's always stuff to do with indexes to improve them, right? It's never a one and done sort of thing, right? You have to keep working on those indexes to make sure they're the right ones. But I mean, to start with, that's something we want, just to make it easy for people. They don't have to learn all the ins and outs of indexing to get started, but they still want to give them performance, right? In SQL Server, I know you can go edit the query manually or something, some kind of weird performance tool. So what you're probably referring to, you can, of course, edit the query, just edit it because it's just text, right? But you can, there's a query visualization tool that shows which indexes are being used, all the different steps of the query. Couchbase has this too, so you can see, why is my query so slow? Oh, well, 80% of the time is spent on this step, so let's see if we can't reduce that, right? Yeah, so Visual Studio is installed, and I'll just let me get the version here real quick. I'm using version 16.5, so Visual Studio installed. This tutorial uses Visual Studio 2019 16.5. That's fine. Okay, Visual Studio is installed, and Asp Net Core runtime is installed. This tutorial uses, I'm pretty sure it's 2 or 3.1, right? So let me just check here. .NET -- version 3.1 uses ASP.NET Core 3.1. Okay, this should go up here probably. So let's see how this looks. If you're still performing these tasks, well, yeah, and it starts renumbering. Not a fan of that. So I kind of want to make maybe two different lists: Couchbase Server 6.5 and can I? How do I do a sub list? I think something like this, right? This would be a sub list. And yeah, and then so for here I'd say 2, 3. So what does that look like? Oh, why is it still starting the renumbering? Why is it doing that? See, it starts up at 1 and then it goes 1, 2. I want that to be 2 and 3, as you can see over here. IDK tricky docs. Yeah, so this may be something I need to look up in the Asciidoc documentation. Asciidoc lists. So I'm looking up how to write docs. I'm looking at the docs for how to write docs. All right, lists. This isn't the one I'm looking for. There's a reference, I think. Yeah, it is very recursive of me. Here we go. Syntax quick reference. And I want to get to lists. Unordered, ordered. Oh, it's just like okay. Do I even need the number? It's saying just use a dot, using a period. Okay, well, so it's still numbering them, but it's not numbering them how I want them to. Imagine if you have to look up docs on the docs to look up the docs. You're going to Stack Overflow, man. TBD Gamer. Good morning. Love it when a plan comes together. Good to see you, TBD Gamer. Writing some tutorials today. Writing some docs. It's not documentation, it's a tutorial, but we're using Asciidoc to write it. I love you having intro video too, TBD Gamer. Dota 2, if you hang around enough, I'll create a fanfare for you that has to do with ham sandwiches. I was hoping Calvin would show up and try out his and show off his intro video as well, but he's busy right now. He's doing some sort of Xamarin deployment, I think. So he's probably elbow deep into that, which is very cool that he's got something else production right now, or working on something in production. Okay, so why is this resetting? Is it because this comment here? Oh, shoot. Well, if you think you're going to hang out here in the long term, Dota, see if you can find yourself a YouTube video that mentions ham sandwiches that you'd like for your intro. Okay, that seemed to be it. So the comment seems to be the problem there. So I'm going to maybe put this right here. Okay. But that's not really... Okay, well, I don't know. Isn't that what I had before? Okay, well, there we go. So 1, 2, and 3. So that's prerequisites that I want. I could link out to Visual Studio, like just link out to Microsoft. Not that people don't know where that is, but Visual Studio /VS. What if I just go to visualstudio.microsoft.com? Yeah, I want to specify Visual Studio specifically. So that's the link I want there. Okay, there we go. Asp Net Core runtime. So I probably also wanted to do that. So we're going to asp.net. Probably asp.net/core is my guess. Was it .net? No, it's the same thing. It's .net. Well, I say Asp Net Core runtime, but it's actually .net Core runtime. Get stuck in your head? Yeah, it does. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Let's see. Right here, maybe? Yeah, this might be a good place to go. Ooh, .NET 5.0 preview. Oh, it's coming. It's a-coming. Where was I? Here we go. Okay, that's more accurate. It's not an ASP.NET runtime. It's .NET. I've been moving between A-Team and Red Dwarf, a British comedy show. I'm familiar with it. I've never actually seen it. Amazon has made this that little bit more bearable. You know, Red Dwarf was something that people kept recommending to me, like back in the day, because I liked Hitchhiker's Guide so much. They're like, oh, you like Hitchhiker's Guide, you're gonna like Red Dwarf, that sort of thing. I just never got into it. Oh man, that book was good. Yeah, no kidding. The movie was subpar. Which movie? I assume you mean the theatrical release with Sam Rockwell and Martin Freeman. I think it was pretty good. It's a really tough movie to make. Kind of like Ender's Game. It's just tough to do. There was a TV series in the 80s as well. It was pretty good. But it's just tough to do because it's really and it started out as a radio series, right? But I think the movie's based on the books, and yeah, it's just tough. Same with Ender's Game. It's tough to translate some parts of it because it's not really things that are happening in a visual way, right? It's more about sort of the humor of the description of things. Back to coding React. Hey, Dota, thanks for hanging out, and let me know if you find that ham sandwich video. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your React. But I actually enjoyed the movie quite a bit. the Hitchhiker's Guide movie. I really do like it. And I'm kind of disappointed there's not going to be any sequels, at least not anytime soon. But that was really good. The opening musical number with the dolphins is really, really fun. Okay. Okay, so that's prerequisites. Is there anything else I need? So it's just Asp Net Core. One thing I'm thinking about is, do I use the Couchbase extensions in here or not? I'm leaning towards not. Because it's introduced some extra work, but it also makes things so much easier. I'm gonna try it without first, and then I can always come back and change it. Okay. All right, back over here. Okay, so step one is open the query working environment. So mine is going to be step one. Was there anything else I missed first? Hang on, let me look. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be open open a new project in Visual Studio, or start a new project maybe, Visual Studio. So I don't know if I want to go into too much detail about this, but this is where I'd use to take screenshots, but I'll say new project. So let me just see if I can follow this here. So it doesn't number it, but please refer to other quick start exercises. Put in a web browser, navigate. So if you're using a Docker, the web UI is at blah, blah, blah. Okay. So it's just going to be, I don't know, open Visual Studio 2019 and create a new ASP.NET Core project. So new project, ASP.NET Core web application. Let's see, all project types. I just want to see if I can get a good screenshot on this. Languages, C#. I don't necessarily want to show Kubernetes. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's probably good right there. Let's take a screenshot of this. I may or may not use this, but I want to take a screenshot while I'm here. The tool I use for screenshots is called GreenShot. Just cut that off there. Docs server and modules. Getting started. It goes in assets, images. There's a lot of images here. I think I might create a folder. Quick starts. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but put that there. So then I have assets, quick start, and I'm going to call it something. I'm going to have it correspond to the tutorial name, and this will be new project. Okay, so there's an image file, and the way I would include that is I think I just say image, and in this case, I need the folder name / new project .png. So I think when I do that, oh gosh, I didn't quite figure that out. How do I put an image in Asciidoc? Should just leave this up. Asciidoc, quick start. Yeah, here we go. Image. 2 colons. That's right, it's 2 colons. So it's not like in that one. Why not? Oh, because I also need this at the end. There we go. Okay, so I need image : at the beginning, and then this brackets at the end, because I can put alt tags in there. This is a new project dialog in Visual Studio 2019. So I'm going to go into that and let's call it whatever. This is just going to be a throwaway, but a quick start. It's easy proj. Okay, and I probably just want to use the API template. That should probably be good enough, I think, right? Another screenshot here. I want to get that X up there. Let's see. What is this little line? Is that just... okay, well. What are you going to do? All right. That looks like a good one right there. So I will save this. Doc server, modules, getting started, assets, images. Yep. And this is template. You know, one thing I could do, I think, is up here, I can say assets, images, and then I don't have to put this on every single one. Just put this folder name up here. And then this will still work, I think. Right? Yep, okay. And then image, and then template select. So I'm not even going to explain. I'm just going to say select the API template. Okay, so there we are. We've got a new project here. Okay, so in the startup, I think, is where I'll probably want to go. I don't necessarily need to configure dependency injection, although if we're talking Asp Net, it's probably something you want. It's kind of weighing the pros and cons. I want to make it as quick and simple as possible, but I also want to make it useful. So I could, for instance, go over here and in weather forecast, no, not weather forecast, weather forecast controller, I could just use this weather forecast. That would make things easier, probably. If I just use the built-in class. Okay, so first thing I need to do is put some data in. So in order to do that, okay, the next step should be to add the dependency. So that's an easy one. Couchbase Net Client. And I'm going to use 3.0 is out now, but I'm going to use 2.7.16. Let me just go over here to NuGet, because I might just copy the command line. With that version. I can never remember the exact syntax. So here we go, and I want 2.7.16. So this is what I want right here. Install the Couchbase net client package from NuGet. And so that's going to be inside some syntax highlighting, like a pre-formatted box here. You can do this via the UI or the command line, like so. Couchbase Net Client package. Install the, let's say, latest 2.7.x Couchbase Net Client package from NuGet, because there is a 3.0, so I need to be very specific here and say 2.7 what we want, not 3.0. Okay, so I'm just going to use UI because I'm lazy like that. Install. Okay, pretty standard stuff. Now in startup, I need to do something, but let's look here in, how do I want to do this? Let's say I bucket. It's Calvin. What's up, Calvin? Groves Tube TV. What's going on? How is the Xamarin deployment coming, Calvin A. Allen? I saw that you were pushing something out to production, your Xamarin app, and I was super hyped for that because you've come a long way in such a short period of time. Very impressive. It is live. It's something that, you know, probably not something I'm terribly interested in, but it's something I could install and check out in the store. Oh, not until December 9th? Huh? What's December 9th? Oh, that's when you started on it. Okay, yeah. So it's been a long time. So it's not like in the Android store or anything like that. I can't check it out there. 4 months start to finish. This is your first Xamarin. This is your first Xamarin app? Like beyond just, you know, playing with Xamarin, right? This is the first production one ever. Very cool. So push through MDM. I don't know what MDM is. I'm guessing it's some sort of internal, like only people who work for your company can install this app sort of thing, like a mobile device management. Oh, interesting. Very cool. So has anybody started using it yet? Any feedback? Any early feedback on it? Any major problems? It's very exciting. Very cool stuff. Calvin works for a company that is very much essential right now. I'll let him explain if he wants to more about what they do, but very cool that push something out. Some small issues this morning, able to fix and push a new build. So MDM means you don't have to go through an app approval process, I assume, like a Google or Apple process, right? That's probably the main benefit there. Of course, the drawback is no one else can really see it outside your company, which is not a problem because it's not like the latest hot new social network app, right? It's not the hot new TikTok. It's a practical, useful app for your employees. The next app will be public. Oh, cool. That'll be exciting. I want to check that out. I want to see what Calvin hath wrought. So I think I'll just put bucket here in the constructor. You lease trailers for semis. So as you can imagine, that's a very important thing right now. So very cool. So there's that. So I think in startup, it's just going to be easy as this. I want to say services. I want to say services.add scoped by bucket to be cluster helper.open bucket. No, .get bucket of default. Is that right? Or do I need a variable here? Okay, that's right. And so I say cluster helper dot initialize New client configuration. And I probably want to do configure.get, no, configuration.get section, Couchbase. Well, doesn't like that. Oh, I think I'm doing this wrong. New client configuration. Can I do it here? Or is this something that can only be done with the extension? Oh, that's kind of obnoxious. That's okay. X.username. New client configuration. Username. Servers equals configuration.get. How do I want to do this? I want to keep this really simple. I could just hard code it. I'm going to try a hard code for now. Then authentication, of course, has to be here. So that's, hopefully, I think that's all we need. And then I can start using it from the controller here. So then I would want a HTTP GET of, I don't know, we'll just make it a string. Why not? Insert data. And we're going to just insert. Well, so that's the thing. Like query probably is what I want. Maybe. So what I'm thinking here is usually I go off key value, but what I want to look at is some of the nickel that first record select. Build an upsert. Okay, so I want to check out some of these files here. No, they're going to be in assets. Getting started as examples, maybe. And so the file I'm looking for, oh shoot. I really gotta put this on a different page, I think. Okay. Examples. So the first one he uses here is the quick start first record select. Select.sql. Which is just a select. It doesn't actually insert any data. And then this query uses the dummy scan to generate the projection. I don't know what that means. I've never heard that term before. Dummy scan. It's not actually scanning any documents, so I assume that's what it means. It's just, there's no from, right? Let's return the following result. Upsert the record. Okay, so the first record upsert right here. So here's the thing, like if I want to use the same sort of query, then I can't use the weather forecast that comes out of the box here, which is not so the end of the world. But this seems like a lot for the tutorial that he wrote. It makes sense because we're taking step by step through the queries. But I wouldn't ever write this, an upsert from a select, as a way to put data into Couchbase. I wouldn't ever do that in a .NET application. I probably wouldn't even do an insert either. I think it just makes more sense. To not use SQL here and just say we're going to insert some data. Bucket.insert. What it doesn't like about this? Oh, right. Weather forecast equals null. If forecast, what? Did I forget how to write code? What's going on here? If forecast, oh, what am I doing? If forecast equals null, then forecast equals create new forecast object. Okay. Insert would be, I don't know. Key. Forecast equals forecast. Yeah, I guess I could do that. TBD gamer. That's a good call. Null coalesce operator. What doesn't it like about that? Cannot be applied to operands of... Oh. I completely forgot how to code. Equality not assignment. Oh, and then Calvin suggests, and ReSharper suggests, even better, to do assignments with null coalesce. Well, look at that. Fancy. Okay, so insert key, and then forecast, and there we go. And then we'll just return okay. Well, it's not okay. We can return inserted forecast with ID key. Oh, this needs to be string. Okay. So this is a get. I should probably make this a post, right? That would make more sense. Shows also I've been using null checks lately. Suppose you're on Windows, and I would use Postman for this, but suppose you're on Windows, how would you issue a post to an endpoint? What's the easiest way to do that? Actually, TBD Gamer, this is one I've not gotten used to yet at all. It's just some syntax sugar, I'm sure. But like on Linux or Mac or something, you probably use curl, right? You do a curl post out to this, and I think Windows has a curl, but it's not like standard curl, right? It's just an alias for invoke web request. Okay, well, I'll think about that some more. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to comment that out. Yeah, I do like Postman, of course, but this is meant to be a quick start. So if I say Postman, well, then I have to add another prerequisite to this quick start. Well, you have to install Postman now too. I use Insomnia in place of Postman, with PowerShell in place to go something like curl. True, if the curl command here would also work for Linux and Mac, which it might. All right, so I don't know. I'll revisit that, I think. Making a PowerShell post request. So I actually don't need a body here, right? So it could just be a plain old post, and it'll fall back to this create new forecast. But I want to leave that in there because if you want to experiment and put your own weather forecast in, you can do that. PowerShell core should work cross platform, right? True, but then again, we're back to, okay, you have to install PowerShell. So if I could just come up with a curl command that will work on PowerShell and Linux and Mac, that would be good enough for this quick start. I might be able to do that, so we're going to explore that. weather forecast. So weather forecast is like date time dot now would be good. Temperature C. New random number? I don't know. Next, somewhere between, I don't know, what's a good temperature range for Celsius? I have no idea. 0 to what's like what's the temperature out where you'd say, oh, it's hot. Okay, we'll just do this. 95 Fahrenheit to Celsius. $35. Okay, that's fine. We'll say 36. Okay, that's like Houston hot. If we get to that high, well, technically we could go to 105 sometimes. 40 degrees Celsius is getting like, let's not go outdoors. All right, that's good. From the UK, anything above 50 Fahrenheit is practically balmy. I don't know what balmy means, but yeah, 50 to like 75. That's like the sweet spot for me. Like right in there, that's good. I can live with that. Okay, so then the other thing is summary. Summary, so I don't want to bring in a random string generator either, but weather forecast from good time dot now. Sure, why not? Pleasantly warm, that's what balmy means. Yeah, when we get in the high 70s, it starts to get, you know, all right, maybe, especially if we're like playing sports or something. And then 80s to 90s, it's like, oh boy. Hundreds, it's like, let's not go outside. All right, so that's going to create somewhat of a random forecast object. That's fine. I don't need to dwell on that, I don't think, for this tutorial. Okay. So let's try it. Let's run this thing. See if it works. Oh, nope. Got errors. Oh yeah, this part here. Okay, so it is running. I'm just curious. It's running on. So if I just do curl, that's not giving anything, right? Yeah. Like it's just an alias for invoke web request. It's not the same thing, but you know what you can do with Postman actually. Let's see if this works. I'm cheating a little bit. You can go back and forth with Postman. You can paste in a curl request, and you can also generate a curl request. Hey, it's AJ 2017. What's going on, AJ 2017? Great to see you again. How are things for you? We're going to do a post to this and send a Rooney. And 500. Could not bootstrap. Could not connect. Oh. You know, it might be good if I actually had you know, Couchbase running. I've got this stuff set up for my Pluralsight course. It's just not going to work because it's multi-node. What do I keep opening for? I don't have a default bucket either. DB650. You know what? I need to be using a community version. Not that it really matters for this particular thing, but I'm going to do that. So it is, I'm going to follow the same steps here. So quick start Docker manual, something. That's going to be in pages right here. So I'm going to run the same exact thing here that was run for the other tutorial. So this is going to have to download, because I haven't used 6.5 Community Edition yet. I've still been building stuff with Enterprise. But for this series, we want to sort of try to bring as much focus to community as possible. And so that's why these quick starts are all using community. Although, honestly, the content we're building, none of it's going to, it's going to work in both versions, but we want to start to get some more emphasis and focus on community edition. So got that going on. Local host, set up a new cluster. Oh, what did the what are the credentials that I used here? Just administrator and password. Okay, that's good. All right, terms. Yep, and configure. Make sure I have the same stuff. So 256 across the board. So like a minimum footprint of RAM. Okay, good. What else? Default data bucket with, again, minimum. Call default 100. Anything else? Nope, that's it. And then secondary indexes, so these two right here. What? Query service. What happened there? Okay. Execute. This is a new feature, I think, in 6.5. We can actually run multiple queries at the same time. You can see there it kind of runs them asynchronously. And they both ran, so there's indexes. So we got primary and adaptive index, which is what I said in the prerequisites to have. Anything else? Okay, done. Okay, that's it. All right, so back here, I was going to go to Postman again. Can I close all other tabs? Yeah, don't save those. Don't need them. All right, send. Unsupported media type. Okay. Because I am not posting to JSON, I guess. JSON. Try it again. Why doesn't it like it? Unsupported media type. Am I doing something wrong? To post, insert data. Am I doing a post? Post. Is it right? Not the right URL, I don't think. I think that's the problem. So I'll just set up a route here. Okay. Try again. Doesn't like it. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I didn't recompile. That would be the reason there. Okay. Make sure this compiles. Up to date. Okay. There we go. What am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? Unsupported media type. Something I'm missing here. Route. Oh, maybe that. Try it again. No? What? Well, I can't get it to work in Postman. I certainly can't get it to work in curl. What am I missing? I don't need to mark this as JSON, do I? What am I doing wrong? Let me just try a get here. Same route. I suspect this is something to do. String ID. Hello world. Well, let's take this off for now. Just see if this works. I'll do a get on this page. Hello world. Okay, so that the routing is fine. Something wrong with this weather forecast. I'm not specifying anything, so it should just be like null, I assume. It's optional anyway, right? Okay, so that worked. So it's something to do with the binding. You think as many times as I've done this, I would have, you know, this wouldn't have been a problem for me. So, okay, so that's working fine. When I did that, see the get still works, but the post is not having it. Just post a null. Oh. A non-empty request. What? A non-empty request body is required. That is the request body, and it's not empty. Cannot access a disposed object. Oh, okay, this is different. The bucket has been disposed. Performing operation on disposed bucket is not supported. So that's different. But I still have the problem here of why isn't this binding working? But what I can do is, I think I can, there's a way to, I know there's a way to turn this Postman request into a curl. Code? Yes, here it is. So let's see if I do this from the command line. Will this be the same thing? Okay, didn't really like that. Probably because of this stuff. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of, is that curl in PowerShell is not the same as curl in Linux or Mac. Let's see. I don't know what this location stuff is. Let's get rid of that. Maybe that's the problem. Positional parameter cannot be found that accepts argument post. I just don't want to have an extra step of having to install Postman. Everyone should have Postman installed, don't get me wrong. But I don't want to foist that on and I have to add screenshots and explain what Postman is, and et cetera, et cetera. Trying to keep this as slim as possible. I still don't understand why this isn't working. That might be part of the issue. I could turn this into a get, and then all you need is a browser. But that's kind of lame. I wouldn't really ever do that, I don't think. Well, I think it might be a good time for a break. This is the kind of thing where I'm kind of stuck, and there's probably an obvious answer here, and my brain's just not working. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm not closing the stream down. I'm just going to switch over to the take a break scene, and I'll just take a little walk upstairs, and I'll be right back. So hang on out, and I will be back shortly. All right. So I see your comments here. That is kind of what I'm trying to avoid. I'm just trying to make this as simple as possible for people who are doing this the first time. But I think I just have to make this part of the prerequisites. Go up here and then say a tool to make HTTP requests like curl or Postman. I'll say, for example, e.g. curl or Postman. And then I'll just sort of, I'm not going to have Postman screenshots. I'm not going to have curl screenshots. I'm just going to have basically make a post request, and then here's what you should receive. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that's probably the way to go here. So let's put in a link. Is it getpostman.com? Put in a link to Postman, because Postman's cross-platform. So I think that's fine, and I think a lot of developers understand Postman. Some, for whatever reason, love curl. If you're following a quick start on Couchbase Asp Net, you're likely not just starting out. You might be surprised, TBD Gamer. I do want to keep this as simple as possible, right? Because, you know, for us, for me, it's like, yeah, I understand Postman, curl, etc. I got it. But, you know, this has to be something that people can follow along with. So, you know, I want to make sure that even a fourth year CS student, for instance, could probably grope their way through this, if they wanted to. Although they're probably more likely to be checking out the Node tutorials, maybe, or Java tutorials. I don't know, but you never know. So I have to sort of think broadly with this audience here. Okay, so I'm saying a tool to make HTTP requests. Example, curl or Postman. That's fine. Okay. Okay. So now I want to see why. I got to figure out why this isn't working. This Postman request isn't working when I posted this. And when I did, actually, it shows me another error, which I'll have to deal with that as well. Which looks like a Couchbase error that's disposing a bucket, which shouldn't be. I don't dispose the bucket anywhere. Oh, this is scoped. Maybe that's it. I can make this a singleton. It doesn't need to be a singleton. Because the cluster itself is what needs to be disposed later. But the bucket, it can be disposed or not, doesn't matter, but it should call this get bucket every time. This is why having the dependency injection extension would be so helpful. Which is, again, something I want to introduce some other dependency here. Even though I recommend it and make my life easier. It's just another dependency. You don't want to introduce dependency, but they'll be using dependency injection. I mean dependency in terms of my project now also in the end-depend sense, Calvin. So it now requires Couchbase extensions. Right? I need to add another NuGet package, basically. That's what I mean by dependency. But yeah, dependency injection is what you should definitely be using. All right, but I'm thinking if they need to understand and use DI, one NuGet package seems fair. All right, I'm sold. You sold me, Calvin. Make my life easier anyway to write this code. I just, you know. Okay, you know, and actually, you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I already require you to install the Couchbase SDK as a package. But I can work around this. Uninstall this. And what I can do instead, this is why I dislike following tutorials, because I always feel like they aren't giving me a full picture. You know, this is another problem with documentation, is that every developer has their own opinion about how it should work. And so you show the same tutorial to 100 developers, and half of them will say, oh, not enough detail. The other half will say, too much detail. One half will say, oh, I need more examples. The other half will say, oh, too many examples. Right? So it's tough. So this is, you know, we're just kind of trying to do our best to reach a broad audience here. And honestly, you know, if you're installing Couchbase this is the first time, there's so much about clustering that if you come from a SQL Server background, you're not, I mean, it's going to be hard to grasp at first. And this is actually one of the things I'm covering in my Pluralsight course, which is it's not really a quick start, right? It's, you know, a video course that takes you through some of these basics. Oh no, you actually are criticizing TBD Gamer, but in a useful way. So that's totally fine, and that's, you know, I'm live streaming this. I'm opening myself up to that kind of feedback, and I appreciate your comments there. So, but it's just one of the challenges with docs is that, and I see this over and over when we send out tutorials to developers, and some of them say, "Oh, docs are great. I love them. They're amazing docs." And others say, "Oh, these docs are terrible." So it's challenging. But what I think I should do instead, Calvin, is if I say install this package. This package has a dependency on Couchbase Net Client. So there we go. It's not the latest version right now, but this will install sort of both of them for me, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go over here to this. And instead of install Couchbase client by itself, I'll just install, get it by the chain. Excuse me. Just put this here instead. So I'll just do, wait, no. Where's my package manager console? Yeah. Just like so. Okay, and so now I've got, go back here, I should see, we've still got Couchbase.core. It's still there. iBucket is still there. So there we go. And then services, this is all you need to do. Services.add Couchbase. And then a configuration.get section Couchbase. That's it. Now, of course, one difference is this will be iBucket provider. And I say bucket provider dot get bucket default. And I could take it a step further and use a named bucket provider, but I think that's be a bridge too far. Okay, and then so inside app settings, then I would have Couchbase. Whoops, servers, localhost. I hate that it does that. 91. Username. Password. And that's it. So that's fine, but I still have the issue of why isn't this endpoint allowing me to pass basically nothing to it? Right, so if I post to here, this should work now, right? Yeah, so that worked, but if I have nothing here, literally nothing, unsupported media type, if I put in the word null, a non-empty request body is required. But I don't, where do I say non-empty is required? It says here it's default to null. Do you need the content type header? I thought this did that because I said JSON right here. Where's the, headers, content type, problem JSON. Oh, that's the response. So I have raw and I select JSON. Headers hidden. 8 hidden. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. Content type isn't here. Huh? What in the world? What does the code view say? Code view. This is just the curl. Generates curl. Or, oh, look at all this other cool stuff. C#, rest sharp. That's nifty. PHP core. What is this REST method? Oh, there's a PowerShell one too. That's pretty cool. I'm learning all kinds of stuff about Postman today. This is how you do it in PowerShell. Look at all this nonsense. Libcurl, Node, Shell, HTTP, I don't know. That's cool stuff. But anyway, content type. Yeah, it's not listed anywhere. Yeah, that's very strange. Application, is it application JSON? Yeah. Okay, so it's still saying validation. Does that even need to be there, maybe? I don't know. Oh, that's weird. Why are you doing this to me, HTTP? Why are you being such a pain in the neck? Let's do this again. Post. Localhost. Nothing else. Unsupported media type. Yeah, the from body. So didn't we go through this in the stream recently? Where I didn't actually need this? But now I do? Okay, I don't know. Let's try it again. Yeah, same error. No, I don't know. What am I missing here? It's strange that it's sort of, if I provide it, let's see, there's none, right? None body. But if I give it a raw, like empty body, okay, but then if I put null, I get, oh, it's still text, JSON. I get non-empty bodies required, okay? If I put an empty object in there, it works. What is it actually inserting? Let's open it up here. Yeah, and it's just not, so the object itself isn't null, it's just empty, which is what I'd expect, right? Which is not what I want. I'd want this forecast to be null, so this null call-else operator would work. And it's not behaving how I'd want it to. All right, well, I'm going to come back to that, but the other code I need to write is the query to get it back out. Select w.star from default w, where meta w id equals id. Query is query request creates. I'm not going to put in scan consistency here. This is to TBD Gamer's point. This is a concept you need to know, but for this tutorial, scan consistency is not going to affect it. So I'm just going to leave that out, leave it as default scan consistency. And so then result is bucket.query weather forecast query return result dot rows dot first or default. Yeah. Hey, Matt Payne org, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you hanging out, checking out the stream. Oh, we got looks like 10 viewers according to my little thing right here. 10. That's a lot. If you're hanging out, you're lurking, that's cool. This is totally a lurk-friendly channel. I don't have a lurk command just yet, but you know, if you're hanging out, you're lurking, just drop a little message in the chat and say hi. Okay, so this will work because it'll use the query, or the index, which I'll just test it out here. Over in query. Okay, that's not going to work because I need the actual ID. So we'll get this one right here. Okay, so that works, but I think I have a problem here. This shouldn't be using string concatenation. Bad idea. Bad. We'll put $ID, and then we say query dot add name parameter ID, like that. Much better. So it's about 10 minutes till noon. I'll keep going here till noon. I mean, this is something I've got to keep working on anyway. I want to get this in. I set a due date for it on Friday. I want to get it in earlier than that because I got some plural size stuff I want to get knocked out. And I have another one of these I got to get knocked out. Uses link to Couchbase. That will be a console app, so that'll be a little different. But maybe I'll work on that on Thursday if I can get this one done, or at least get a pull request up there for the docs team and rest of my team maybe to look at. So if you need to get a tester for this, I've been looking at using a database to back my bot. TBD Gamer, that would be awesome. I've got the bot that I'm using right now, the bot that I built is using Couchbase. And you're welcome to check out the source code for that. But if you want to go through this tutorial and try it out, whether it's used for your bot or not, I would definitely appreciate that. So once I get that pull request in, you know, I can let you know, or you can just go and check out the repo and watch it. And you can see my pull request come in. It's at Couchbase or GitHub /Couchbase/doc server, totally open source. So if you want to, definitely feel free to check that out. It won't be the fancy version on docs.couchbase.com yet, but it might not get there because we're working on like a new docs quick start area, so it might not be actually public on the site for a while. But yeah, I'd love your feedback on it. Of course, I'll have my own fork of that as well. At GitHub /mgrove/doc server. So you can definitely check it out there too. Okay, so let's just make sure that this endpoint works. The Git version works. Oh, and I don't have, but ID equals, and I'll just pull it from here, like so. And 204, no content. What? What is that all about? You tried going through the FaunaDB quick start the other day and was pulling your hair out. Oh, because they sponsored live coders as well. That's cool. Why is this not working? Why am I struggling with this simplest things? String ID equals null. What is wrong with this? Let me set a breakpoint. Those need to be $ ID, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Result. There's no rows being returned. What is going on? Is this because it needs to be $ ID? I thought it would work. I thought both of them would work. Oh, okay. It needs to be $ID. I thought both of them were. I thought you could leave $ out, but nope. Need to put $ ID in there because that corresponds to this right here. Okay, so that works. Terrific. But the insert one isn't quite working how I want it to. Why is that? All right, let me close some stuff up here. I'm going to go back to this bucket and I'm going to delete some of these junky ones. Maybe I need to just consult the docs. I need to swallow my pride here and let me see, core model binding post, and figure out what am I doing wrong. HTTP post, right? I did put that there, right? Yeah. Model binding Asp Net Core. Okay, what about post? Yeah. Okay. Dictionaries. I don't need to know that deep information here. Simple types? Yeah. Tux types. Post ID instructor. Model binding starts by looking through the sources for the key instructor to update.id. If it isn't found, it looks for ID without a prefix. Okay. Okay. Let me just look through is there a quick start that maybe uses a post? No. Web API apps. Yeah, Swagger would be cool, or like a swashbuckle sort of thing. Create a web API. Model class, to-do item. I did this with the to-do. Maybe I go back and look at that code. Because I did this exact sort of thing with a to-do. To-do backend. Maybe I did. Yeah, well, I didn't set equal to null. But that's what I did, right? To-do item. Yeah, it's something different. I'm not checking for a null. This is all entity framework stuff. I don't care about that. Because what I don't want is, well, maybe I don't have any way around this, but again, I was just trying to keep it simple. Just you could throw a post up there, but maybe I have to just take another step back and say, well, this is probably something you got to do. Throw some JSON in here. Date is 2020 4/14. Temperature C. I don't know, 25 degrees, whatever. Summary. Weather forecast. Written by hand. Okay, that worked. So maybe I'm just trying to simplify it too much. There it is. I just have to say, all right, throw this up into your source JSON. Yeah, probably JavaScript is what I need to put there. So that's what needs to be posted. And then, okay, well, I think, all right, well, that's probably enough to go on. Hey, B.L. Bryant, you're just in time for me to shut down the stream. Thanks for stopping in. I was going through I was actually looking through your quick start as kind of the template here. Having some trouble with Asp Net Core, like just trying to keep it as simple as possible. But I think there's a few things that I just need to accept, and one of them is that you gotta have a basic understanding of how to use curl or Postman or HTTP or something like that. So just trying to keep it slim as possible. Haven't submitted a pull request yet, but this is as far as I've gotten. Hey, Dota 2 Attitude, back from writing React, or have you been lurking this whole time? How was the ham sandwich? All right, well, we're going to, let's see, do you think I have to support monitors 1200 to 1300 wide? I was working, then had a hot dog. So this is a question not related to what I'm doing, right? But 1200 to 1300 wide. So I'll just show you my display settings here, because I think I have some pretty widescreen monitors. 1200, 1300 wide. So are you saying you don't want to support, that's too small of a width? You don't want to have to worry about that? Because 1920, I think that's probably pretty common. Your breakpoints break at 1200 to 1300. So that goes down to like a tablet view or something at 1200 to 1300? Is that what you're getting at? This is really outside my realm of knowledge. Like, we're talking design and front end and how things look. 1200 is the extra large. Oh, okay. Because 1920, that's a pretty standard resolution these days, isn't it? 1920 width for 1080, and I have two monitors of that width. So I was thinking 1200 is okay. So at 1200 then goes on to large. Okay, that makes sense to me. You did see 1200 in that list, yeah. So 1280 down here. This is the resolution I use for Pluralsight videos. This is what they say to use is 1280 by 720. Because that gives it a good quality resolution. Yeah, 720p. That's a good quality resolution for streaming, but it you want to be able to support. You want to have a high quality, but you also don't want to have huge amounts of bandwidth requirement, and you want to be able to have the readable text. So 720p is what we designed for there on Pluralsight. Anywho, I'm going to jump over now to the live coders URL. You don't want the media queries to fit 100px bandwidth. So we're going to pick someone to raid. C# Fritz, I think I rated him relatively recently. Jessica Mack, I think I was there. The Messy Coder looks new to me. Join my game jam, massive $4,000 prizes. Who made this interface? The one on the screen right now? This is a Twitch interface. Twitch/team/livecoders. Brian Lagunas. Is it Dev Chatter? No, this is something that it's just Twitch has. Dev Chatter is a member of the team. Oh yeah, I think several people have created different views of the Live Coders team, but this is the native Twitch one. Brian Lagunas, I don't think I've been there in a while. He's updating his Pluralsight course. I think we should go and join Brian Lagunas. So I am going to initiate the raid over there. Oops, not join. It's /raid. Brian Lagunas. So everyone say hi to Brian. Everybody say something nice to Brian. But if you are a subscriber, I have a message for you, and this should probably be a command as well. You can copy and paste this message when we go over there and raid. If you're a subscriber, you can use Calvin's Bada Bing Bada Boom emote. And if you're not a subscriber, you can pick another emote of your choice. But let's go over there and give Brian some love, and I'll see you over there for a little while. Then I'm going off to lunch myself. Maybe I'll have a hot dog or a ham sandwich. But thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, Matt Payne.org, for the follow. Thanks for Dota and Calvin and TBD Gamer for hanging out. And thanks for BL Bryant stopping in. I will see you over there later on.